Okay guys, the reason I'm making this video is because there's two videos on YouTube that show you how to disconnect this wrong. They actually are prying it and you could destroy it if you try and remove it like those two videos do. Quick connect. This quick connect is push button. In other words, all you have to do is push this button on the top. There's a guy on YouTube who's sticking a screwdriver in here and prying this up, and what he's doing is he's actually tearing it up is what he's doing, because all you do is simply push down on it and it releases. I don't know if you can see, but there's a button right there. You just push this button down, and what he was doing was he was actually sticking a screwdriver in here, and he was doing this right here. He was opening it up with a screwdriver, and all you really have to do is push down. So I don't know, maybe there's different styles, but you'll see the O-ring inside of there. Okay, and your electrical connection is real easy, although having two people helps, but you just push down. You push down on this tab right back here. You push down on this tab right here, right there, and it comes right off. Oh, and it helps if you pull your fuel lines. There's keepers. There's one there, there's one there, and there's another one up there where I pulled them out of these keepers. I pulled them out of these keepers, so that gave me a little bit of slack here. What we're going to do now is we're going to use a vacuum. Then we're going to try and vacuum this up, and we're going to pull this ring out. And to undo the ring, you're just going to put a punch here and hit it, and here and hit it. As you do this, rust is going to start bouncing off of this. We're going to use a true grade fuel pump assembly. Guys, here's another Durango repair video. Originally, I thought the fuel pump was out because you turn the key and it will not start. And it died 2 times while driving it, but it would restart. When I'm suspecting the fuel pump, the first thing we did was we got in here and we switched this relay out with this one. This is the air condition relay. We switched it to the fuel pump relay. This fuse right here is the fuel pump fuse. So that's ruled out. Right there we have a Schrader valve, and we put a fuel pump gauge on here and turn the key, and we've got no pressure. So it's located on the passenger side of the vehicle under the air horn here. Right there, you check your fuel pressure right there, and I've got 0 reading fuel pressure gauge. So job is we have to change the fuel pump in this Dodge Durango. But it's full of gas, so we got to figure out a way of siphoning the gas out of it. So we need to drop this tank. This is your filler hose from where you're going to add your gas, and this here is a vent. So we're going to try and figure out a way of getting some gas out of here before we try and drop it. I do have this hose loose. It's such a tight fit, I can't get that loose without trying to drop it, but it's completely full and I need to try and get some gas out of it. Okay, we're going to elevate the front of the car, put it on 2 jack stands, and when we get under here, we got one quick connect. It's real easy to disconnect. Just push these 2 little tabs in and it'll pull apart. Real easy, just squeeze these 2 tabs, it comes right apart. And then we have an electrical connector right here. You need to pull that red pin, your safety lock. You need to pull it from the top. I just got this screwdriver, push in this tab, the red tab from the back, You don't have to pull it all the way out. Just got to get it that far, push it from this side till you can get a hold of it. Then you can get a screwdriver right there, pull it up that much, and once you get it that much, there's just a little lever that you push with your thumb right here, right there, and it slides right off. So it goes right there. You just push it with thumb, and it slides right off. Okay guys, a little bit of advice. You better get your air compressor out unless you got really big strong arms. 15 millimeter is the gas tank straps, but I broke them loose by hand, but my arm couldn't take this, so we had to get the impact out, and this is just a cheap one, and it's all it could do to turn these loose. That's one reason you always need to wash the salt off your car. Alright, so we got it put 2 jacks because I'm going to try and lower one, be able to lower the fuel filler hose so I can get a hose in there and try and drain it because this tank is full. So anyways, we got a strap on either side here that comes down, and then I'm gonna go to the other side and twist them off. And I believe we got all the connections loose on this side, and we're going to try and drop this one side down a little bit so we can get some gas out of it. Once you get the gas out of it, you can manhandle this thing. It's even got handles on it, but we got to get some gas out first. So we're going to try and get it down. I have no slack to pull that hose off, and I don't want to damage it. If we can drop this tank down, see the handles? Okay guys, now that we're going to lower this one, we'll lower this one a little and this one a lot. And by lowering that one a lot, we drop it enough that we can get that off, and we can get a hose in there and start siphoning the gas. Maybe even drop it a little bit more. If we get the weight off of here, we can manhandle this thing. Well guys, I'm going to get the fuel line and everything else. A progress report here. I got about, I don't know if that's 20 gallons or not, but it's as much as I could get out. We have a fuel line right there on the fuel pump and the electrical connector to it, and that's all. And we're going to try and just drop it down on the ground, and hopefully there's enough slack to get to those connections. I got a feeling I'm going to have to jack the back of the car up. My arms aren't long enough to get to it. Okay guys, the hardest thing I've had to do yet is take this. I have no room in here to show you guys, but it's a evap vent, but you're gonna have to get you one of these. It's a 5/16 3/8 tube quick connect, and I had to use the smallest one right here. And once you figure it out, it's not too hard. You just put that in there and push and yell and scream until it lets go, and then it'll let go. But I think when it was new, you could have just squeezed. I think it's set up that all you have to do is squeeze this right here. There's 2 little tabs, and they're not showing up probably on the camera. There's 2 little tabs in there is all that holds it. And if you could squeeze it, I think it'd let go. I even sprayed it down, and it wouldn't want to let go. All we have left to do is to find our way to there, which is like 4.5 feet from me. Okay guys, a couple tips. Moved it on grass because it's bouncing all over the driveway. The next thing is we're rubbing this down. Afraid I was going to put holes in the gas tank. I cut some pieces of plastic to lay there. You need to get you the biggest small sleds you can, and originally I was using this and I was getting nowhere, and I got a brick chisel out to where I could put it like this and like that, and you got to hit the heck out of it because it's all rusted up. But try and protect your tank, because I was like almost poking holes in it, like see there. You can't use, you know, they tell you to use a screwdriver and stuff. Screwdriver wouldn't work. This big one wasn't working, and the key was getting the biggest punch you could and the biggest hammer and just waylay on it. Hey, once you get off this locking ring, I took a cold chisel to it and a wire brush and knock off all that rust. Then took it to an anvil and flattened it back out and tried to peen over all the edges that I had rolled over. Just like that. So I peened them back down so they'll be nice and flat to reassemble them.
It ain't coming out. You got a screwdriver?
That ain't coming out. How's the other one going to go in? I'm going to put the old one out in the sun so whatever gas residue is left will evaporate off. So be sure you put you a new O-ring. Comes with the filter. Comes with the fuel filter is built into this unit, so there's no fuel filter to replace. And we're going to go ahead and leave that cap on till we get it back under there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to slide it back under there, and then we're going to take a block of wood and put it about in the center, jack it up to where it needs to be to where we can get the straps around it. Just reconnect everything. Once again, this one here, all you had to do, this quick connect on this emission hose, you just squeeze that and it pops right off. In that electrical connector, that canister line just slides on there. That's about it. And this was designed, I did have to use quick connect tool to get it to come off, but if you see those two tabs right there, those two tabs there, all you really have to do is squeeze right here and it's supposed to open those tabs up, but it was so rusted it wouldn't let go. But so we stuck that quick connect tool right in here. Other than that, the one defect these engineers made, this handle's great, but this handle here, you still got to grab it back here where that's placed, because it just made no sense to me. They should have put that handle back here. We did have one bolt. One bolt is all rusted up. It says 109G, whatever that means. So we went to Central Tractor, and there we go, class 10, 10.9, whatever that means. So here's the replacement bolts that we're going to try and get in there in place of this one here. But we'll have to find a washer. Looky, we got fuel pressure now. 46 pounds. Now you will have to turn your key. I didn't try and start it yet, but you do need to turn your key. I think I had to turn it on and off about 4 times to get the air primed out of the system before the gauge would move. And the second, or I think the third time, it barely came up to like 5 pounds. Then I turned it off, turned it back on, and then boom, before we get fuel to come up to return. So there we go. I don't know about these Durangos, but I know my Trans Ams, you could do a leak down test where you leave it should hold that pressure for 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden it'll go off. And that checks your injectors. And since all of them should be closed, but all of them are charged, that fuel line, that fuel rail right there is charged. If you don't know where to hook your fuel gauge up, your fuel pressure gauge up to, there's a Schrader valve right there. Watch and see how long. See, it's starting to drop a little bit, but that can tell you if you got a leaky injector or not.